Wait.
How's this feel, Candy Cane? Your ass is dead already. Your body just doesn't know it. How's it feel, baby? How's that feel, huh? Huh?
All right, haves and have not fans. Now, it's been about, what, 3 days or so now, and time hasn't healed the wound. Let me just say first off, right off the bat, thank you so much for watching the videos. Now, I wish every day for the channel could be as successful as the past 48 hours have been. The views are off the charts. Videos are getting 10,000 plus hits only after being up for a few hours, which is honestly how the channel should be if notifications went out to everybody when I actually posted content. And I know this is just riding the cusp of the series finale, and unfortunately it might fade off in the next few days. Fingers crossed that it'll last until next week, with the reunion special part 1 airing, and I do believe they're going to re-air the finale at 7 p.m. on Tuesday. So there could be people who haven't watched the finale yet who are going to catch it next week. And let's be real, I know people are pissed off, but something tells me you're going to watch the finale again before the reunion, and then that will cause even more people to come to the channel. I'm not going to say numbers here, but let me just put it this way. If the channel made what it's been making over the past couple days for like the next 3 weeks or so, I could probably buy a house off a lot, because you all have been blowing my mind. I'm just sitting up here looking at the stats every day for the past couple days. I'm just like, Lord, if this is how I get a house, that would be amazing. But in any case, I just wanted to say thank you for that. And I'm sorry, I've been getting so many DMs since Tuesday night. I haven't been able to respond to them all. Not to mention, some of you all have been sending freaking essays about how pissed you are, how you would have wrote the finale. And to be honest, after Wednesday, I believe, is when I dumped a bunch of Have and Have Not videos at once. I thought I was pretty much done. But no, I've rewatched the finale 2 times, actually. And I've come up with some ideas. Like, honestly, I said, the way it ended, I just wanted it to be done. Like, no more have and have nots. But the door is open, like Silk Sonic. I think Tyler Perry left the door open for the possibility. And no, don't get me wrong. I know some people are like, dude, it's over, let it go. And I was one of those people. Trust and believe. I was like, I was ready for the show to be gone for quite a while. But if done right, I think the potential is there for more. But that trust and believe, I have a long list of have and have not videos to do. But in this particular situation, I'm going to talk about, there are only 2 videos I might do today. Maybe I'll do more, but the ones I want to do, one on Candace, which is what this one is about, and one on Veronica. And one of the most divisive points is how Candace went out. And I've said this in reviews and live streams and videos, like, ranking the deaths and things like that. I said it was a shame that Candace went out like that, considering her and Jim were the ones who got the show going. Like, again, Veronica became the most popular character, but in terms of like the original foundation of the story, it was Jim and Candace. So to see Jim, even with one arm in a sling, have an upper hand the entire last couple minutes of their interaction with each other, it was a damn shame, if you ask me. And that's why I'm doing this video and the Veronica video. I think the Veronica one might be some along those lines of Veronica deserved better. I'm not saying that she shouldn't have died, but 5-second gun down. Come on now, this is Veronica Harrington. So before going further in the video, please take a moment to hit like and comment your thoughts. Like, hitting the like, basically engaging with the video, is what has been making these videos blow up and increasing the ad revenue. Basically, the fact that you all have been going nuts in the comments with your thoughts, you've been liking the video and my thoughts, even if you hate the topic at hand, because for the most part you agree. Like, you might not agree with like how I think things should have been done, but you'll agree like, well, damn, Jeremy, here's how I would have done it. But overall, your thoughts were better than how the finale were actually implemented. But in any case, hit subscribe as well so we can close in on 200,000 subscribers. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description. And hit that damn bell notification icon and select all, because you don't want to miss when I post content. I'm just saying. But this video is focusing on what everybody's been asking. Why didn't Candace put up more of a fight? I've mentioned this before, and I've seen people agree with me. And I actually went back and rewatched the scene right before hitting record on this video. I said that Candace looked pretty banged up by the time she was delivered to the Malones. Now, remember when Charles had her, I guess you could say, disposed of, when he literally turned his back on her and she was dragged out by some of the Secret Service guards and thrown into a trunk and then put on a plane and then back to Savannah? That was different than how the Malones handled her. I feel like, we know Candace is a fighter. Hell, I mean, when Mitch jumped in to try to help her, he even attacked Vinny, and then he got held down, and, a couple guys beat on him. Well, Vinny beat on him first, and a couple other guys knocked him to the ground. But before that, Candace managed to get away from the two goons who grabbed her, jumped on one of their backs trying to attack. But this dude was kind of big, so it's like, she got flailed around like a rag doll and dragged away. Now, unlike Charles's Secret Service, Candace knew that these guys would not be afraid to kill her if she's taken away. Not to mention, she knew that being delivered to Jim meant certain death, so she was going to fight back. But the thing about the Malones and Secret Service probably knew, okay, this is, the president-elect's, potential love interest that he's getting rid of, so if we rough her up, she can go to the press, and then that could be a bad look for us. But with the Malones, they don't give a crap, meaning that the more Candace fights back, the more she's going to be. Basically, the Malones dropped Candace off like UPS. And that's no shade to the delivery services, because, eBay is my side hustle. But ever since I've moved back home, I'd say about 80%, and I got pictures to prove it, 80% of the packages I have purchased online that have been delivered by UPS have been banged up. It's like the box got thrown off a cliff, ran over by a 16-wheel, thrown into a pool, and then dried off with a blow dryer for your hair, and then just dropped off at the front door. And I'm like, it's a miracle damn near everything I've ordered hasn't come in pieces. But basically, that's how I feel Candace was treated. Like, the more she, and this is Candace Young, folks, she knows what the Malones are about. Even though if she really did, she wouldn't have went down there, but that's another video in itself. But basically, she was pretty banged up. Again, I feel like the more she fought back, the more she got banged up. You could look on her face, it was bloody and bruised. Now, one thing I wanted to check for was her legs. I'm like, were her legs broken? No, they were not. I actually looked at it closely from the moment that Sandy had the two guys dump her on the floor and say delivery, and then the fact that Candace could barely pick herself up off the floor to say, I'll get back the money. And then when she was being dragged up the stairs behind him, you could see her legs, struggling to pick her up. And then when she was dropped in the tub, the guy just took her legs and went whoop, like wet noodles. So I don't think her legs were broken, but they were probably hurt. I feel like Candace was damaged all over. So my reasoning was, when Jim put her in the tub, yeah, I know he only had one arm, but there was a point where the arm that was in the sling was used as support on the side of the tub, so his other good arm could be used to hold her down longer. So we saw Candace, struggling to bob up and down, but guys, it wasn't going to happen. And I think even one of the most frightening images was when the camera focused on the mirror and we got the wide shot of Jim holding her down. So I know, I get it, trust and believe I get it. It's like, Candace should have done this, Candace should have done that. But you have to understand, we don't know to what extent she was beaten by the Malones. And just, I get it. Like, sometimes when you're at that cusp, when you see that light, when you have that adrenaline rush and then you fight back. But I don't think Candace had that. I feel like Candace had that with the Malones, but they beat that glimmer of light out of her. So that's why she was literally begging and pleading with Jim, because she didn't have it to give. She didn't have that oomph to give. Not to mention what she's 2 months pregnant. So I don't, as somebody who's never got a girl pregnant or has been pregnant, obviously I can't really say if the pregnancy kind of quote unquote slows you down. I would think it would. So that could explain why Candace wasn't quite up to snuff, because if she was fighting back, scratching Jim in the face and all, I feel like a lot of us would have been more satisfied with how she went out. But this definitely, I can understand it from a person who feels like these two should have been the final end game battle, the boss fight of the series, to have it where Jim had the complete upper hand and Candace felt, and I hate to say this, a watered down version of herself. Yeah, I can get the disappointment, and I'm not trying to make excuses, trust and believe. There's a lot of things in this finale that don't add up, but at the same time, can we really expect more from Tyler Perry? There have been numerous times in this series, guys, it was 196 episodes. You know good and hell well there have been plenty of times where we've been made to, hey, this doesn't make sense in real world, but for the sake of the story, it will. So, just let it go. Pretty much what I'm saying is, this is probably one of the lesser things that I've been like, WTF. Like, there have been plenty of moments in the show, like from Veronica surviving so many injuries and stunts that you would think would kill or cripple a normal person. I think for me, one of the biggest things is, when David asked to be removed from the hospital with his whole damn back missing, and then they let him go, and it's like, what the hell? So Candace, drowning after what seemed to be a short struggle, I get it, but here's a couple other things to consider. Number one, she possibly just lost consciousness because of the beating, the pregnancy, and, being underwater for so long. And number two, I told my sister this because I told her when she, Wednesday, when she wanted to watch it, I downloaded the episode to my computer, and that's how I've been watching it so many times. Well, not the entire thing, just certain scenes. The way the episode was edited, one could be fooled into thinking that the moment that, Jim was like, 3, what did he say, 3, 2, 1, or 1, 2, 3? That's when Hannah came in, but I doubt that. I feel like some time had passed from when Jim held her down and did the countdown to when Hannah came to the front door and saw the blood. Because first of all, the Malones had just left. Remember that, right? Sandy stayed downstairs. The 2 goons dragged her upstairs and went back down. So to think they would have ran into Hannah, I don't know if they would have done anything, but at the same time, I don't think Hannah would have just come in the house, kind of looking carefree until she noticed the blood on the steps. So I do feel like, I don't know how much time, but I do feel like some time had passed between when Jim had held Candace down to when Hannah got to the front door. Not to mention, by the time Hannah creeped up the stairs and down the hall, you heard Jim's hand just kind of like playing in the water. And like he said to Hannah, I held her down a bit for Wyatt. I held her down a bit for Amanda. I think that he continued to hold her down even after, we saw him do it on screen. So I do indeed think if Candace wasn't dead when she was floating, back up, then she definitely died as he continued to hold her down more, because like he said, I held her down some from Wyatt and then for Amanda too, meaning that after we saw those 2 on camera and switched over to Hannah during that time lapse, I feel like he continued to hold her down even more. Here's another point. Remember when If Loving You Was Wrong? Even after Marcy had killed Randall, she then proceeded to wail on him out of anger. Even the dude who lived across, the firefighter from across the street, even he came in and saw the dead body and continued to beat on him out of anger. So I feel like Candace was dead. And I know some people are like, why didn't Hannah resuscitate her or CPR? No, folks, no pulse and shit. But then again, it's like, well, what about that time Wyatt quote unquote overdosed and then he didn't have a pulse when like the hotel manager and paramedics checked it, but then when David checked, there was a pulse. Bad writing. Again, if the show came back, I could believe it. No, I'm not saying this to be too hopeful, but if Tyler Perry wrote it where the show came back and it turned out Candace barely survived, but she survived, I could buy it. Because guess what? There have been bigger pills he's forced fans to swallow. Not to mention, remember when Catherine got quote unquote shot and fell back in the tub? It's like, oh shit. But then when the show came back, yeah, he shot at me and I kept bobbing my head up out of the water until I heard the police come. So Candace quote unquote surviving this, I could buy it. But for now, she's dead. And I kind of understand it. So those are my thoughts to the major question of why didn't Candace put up a fight? Between the unknown amount of brutal handling that she dealt with being delivered by the Malones to Jim, to, not having enough strength to really fight back and, being held underwater. That was the end of it. What would have really made this damn scene intense was if we had like voiceovers or even like Candace seeing like her life flash before her eyes, especially the nightmare she had with Oscar, her son, Quincy, Warlock, and Erica. Just like, die, bitch. You deserve to die. It's like, I get her first. It's like, we're all here to destroy you. Like, that would have made this scene even more, bone chilling. Because like I said, that's why I say the Catherine death was the number one for me, because we saw the light go out of her eyes and the struggle on Renee Lawless's face. In this scene, I feel like a lot of us were like, really? That's how she's going out? So those are my thoughts. But let me know your 2 cents in the comment section below. Like I said before, guys, continue to blow these videos out of the ballpark. I do got some Sister and Oval content, but got the haves and the have-nots are bringing in the money, and that's why I need to get this damn house. So the more you watch, the better. If you want to like do a straightforward donation, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App. Again, you don't have to, but you watching this content, sharing the videos, that's what's going to get me out of my parents' house, and I appreciate that. So guys, take care. Let's talk about it more. I got a list of like 25 videos, so if you have any ideas, let me know and I'll talk about it still. Don't worry about it. It's coming.